And I have the same stance on queers as I do these gooners.
Is this anything pornographic? I would say no.
Yes, what you're doing is shameful. Yes, I think this stuff is shameful and I don't want it in my entertainment because it's shameful and it's hurting society.
I mean, dude, have these people played Final Fantasy? The people complaining, have they played Final Fantasy at all?
It's disgusting and it's perverted. No, I don't want it.
Because this, especially like some of the, I mean, Final Fantasy, we've seen outfits like this get even more revealing.
It's art. Do I think that people participating in these activities are losers? Yes.
It's not even pornographic at all. I don't see the problem.
But you know what? It doesn't mean you have to always be a loser.
Now,
Melonie.
Dumb bitch.
Melanie Mac quickly reminds me of just how many opportunities and positions and praise are just handed over to a lot of women. Today's video is probably gonna ruffle some feathers, admittedly, but trust me, you need it. That part of your brain that demands confirmation bias is about to be agitated by yours truly, but it's okay. Trust me, it's important. You need this. You're gonna hate me now in the moment, but you're gonna thank me in due time and you're gonna be like, Frit, you are a real one. I know. I'm just looking out for you, viewers, because I know that you don't have enough time of the day to research and look into these things. And these content creators are betting on that. They are confident you will never research what they say. Unfortunately for them, an individual like me likes to look at things in autistic detail. You see, a lot of these YouTubers haven't come across a creator like me. Someone who can find common ground with them, but at the same time, put them on the spot when they're obviously grifting. That's why I'm not, accepted in the quote-unquote anti-woke community, because I'm not 100% on board with them on everything. It's why Kyle unfollowed me, because I told him I do not support someone like Grums, who is clearly scamming an audience and using the anti-woke grift to receive support for the funding of a game that, he's been kickstarting and has not released or has progressed in for years.
There's a common misconception Mark Kern, aka Grums, is developing a game. That is not the case. All he is doing is trying to develop a vertical slice demo in order to launch a larger Kickstarter. Somewhere between 300,000 and at least 500,000 of crowdfunding and a lot of lost hope over an 8+ year period. Not even for a game, for a mock-up demo to be used as a Kickstarter in order to finance the rest of the game. This is in the same territory as the day before, and it's worse in my opinion. The difference being, the day before just took their money from some investors. They didn't take it from any common people, until they sold the game, of course. And at least anyone that bought the day before could get a refund on Steam. Grums, on the other hand, took all the money from the people, setting the expectation that this mock-up will be done sometime in early 2019. He had all the funding that was needed to meet that goal, right? Actually, he had way more than enough. He continues to sell those expensive packs, as well as what amounts to pretty much NFTs, just selling random pictures of stuff that will never be in the mock-up or the game. 2017, you said that $60K would be needed to fund the entire playable mock-up. That was over 7 years ago. His commitment was 6 months, $60K to create this playable mock-up, and then 1 to 2 months later, have the Kickstarter ready. That's one milestone he clearly sold and did not meet. What he did deliver, and this is kind of funny, the original $20K fundraiser was for 8 separate things. Even though it raised over 100 grand, he only delivered on 5 of those 8 things that he said he was going to. And by the time they were delivered, he was already 2 years deep into additional crowdfunding via the subscriber model. So to even partially deliver on those things cost hundreds of thousands of dollars more, and they came a couple years later.
£81,892. And as such, this milestone had many, milestones, one of which asked that if they reached $60,000, they would have enough to develop and put out a fully playable mock-up demo. This demo was promised to be delivered within 6 months from the campaign, with a final full campaign launched 2 months after that. This has not been achieved. For the past 6 years, Grums has been developing this mock-up demo for backers. As far as I can tell, It wasn't until 2 years later in 2020 did this demo finally drop, with only one major update 4 years later in 2024 that achieved next to no major changes, much to the ire of backers. And what exactly does this demo look like after 6 years of development and over $130,000 of backers' money?
To which, Kyle basically told me, I don't care if he's a scammer. I don't care if he's disingenuous. He's important to the movement. Well, I'm not a part of a movement. And, I actually care about my audience. They support me. They get me through a lot. So I owe it to them to inform them about every jackass that's going to try and scam them with this crap. Luckily, I don't have to do much work here. One half of the anti-woke community has already done all the heavy lifting for me. For those of you who don't know, right now, the anti-woke community is going through a serious purity test. And we wouldn't be going through this purity test if the anti-woke community wasn't overrun with religious right-wing folks. Now, I want to start off the video by saying I'm not here to offend anybody's religion. We're all free to believe whatever the hell we want, and it doesn't make you a bad person. I have lots of friends who are religious. At one point in my life, I was religious for a straight up 21 years, and I was actually fully indoctrinated, doing missionary work, playing in the worship team, going to church 4 times a week, part of a radio Christian broadcast, handing out blankets to the poor. I actually did everything a lot of these people who just adopt Christianity refuse to do. Say what you want, but unlike you, I actually lived it. And I lived it as the scripture demanded. I didn't compromise my religion. I was super religious. So I know exactly what it's like. Most likely better than both Razorfist and Melanie Mac. Actually, I guarantee you I know it better than they do. Because let me tell you something, these two would definitely not be allowed inside the churches I was going to. Not the way they're dressed or the way they carry themselves. For someone like Razorfist, it's far easier to put on a black and white filter and cosplay as being anti-establishment than it is to actually live it. And for Melanie Mac, it's so easy to take on layers of makeup and have, Lara Croft idolatry in the back and mark yourself with tattoos and then act like you're better than everybody else because you just found God and you want to speak down to them like they're inferior to you. They love to pose as Christians and everything, but you know what I never notice in the background of their videos? I see all of this nerd culture, all of this satanic stuff. I don't see no goddamn crosses. I don't see no Jesus pictures. I don't see no Proverbs scrolls.
God will make you pay. Smite them! He's a cooking something up.
Now, normally I wouldn't be this critical of Christians. I don't care if Christians don't even really follow their scripture. What I do care about is when they try to impose that on everybody else. Hence, Melanie Mac and Razorfist. I'm not gonna bother to introduce these two. You probably know who they are. If you watch the very boring and mid podcasts known as Side Scrollers with that Craig guy with the annoying face, you have an idea. Both were rooting heavily for being against censorship in gaming and all about promoting the female figure and not bending the knee to the woke lunatics that have been pushing for some atrocious, ugly women in gaming. But then suddenly, for some reason, out of the blue, is this what gamers want? Yes! Not me. I like attractive characters, but I don't want to play something with naked butts, boobs, or bulges in my face. I'd feel like a total loser playing something like that.
Flashback.
Almost every female gamer I know, including myself, not only like, but in many cases prefer playing as sexy female characters. It's part of the power fantasy. Gaming journos and some devs could stop being offended on our behalf, that'd be great.
Well. How the turntable...
With the current crowd that's following you, thirsting over you, thinking they're gonna touch you at any point, you don't feel like a loser now? Knowing that, the majority of people you're appealing to look like potential school shooters. But never mind that. The point is you're absolutely the worst person on the planet to be tweeting this. And also, where is the nudity? There was no nudity in that image. It was just a butt. There was no bulges either. And you know, all women, I mean, some of them, not you, but most of them have breasts. So you're not going to be able to avoid that. Something tells me Melanie doesn't like to be reminded of features she don't have. Because, I mean, if you look at her ass, it looks like it would feel like slapping a bag of rice. I'm not trying to put down her physical appearance, but I truly do believe these things bother her because they are features she lacks. I'll go a step further and say Lara Croft is the only character Melanie likes because she probably thinks she looks like her. Evident by, you know, the atrocious cosplay she does as Lara. But most importantly, this goes 100% against everything else she said that year. Being one of the most hardcore defenders of Stellar Blade, as we can see here. I mean, just take a look at all of this slop, and yes, I'm saying slop because your videos are absolute trash. Women aren't funny. I'm sorry. It's not in your genetics to be funny.
He's out of line, but he's right.
What we have here is a grift. And I know people hate that word being thrown around, but she legitimately is doing textbook definition. To deny that would be like to deny the makeup doesn't make her look like a whole different person. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense because all of this is okay, but then nope, not this. This is too much. This is when it starts to encroach on my religious beliefs. All of this was fine, but this is an insult to Jesus Christ. And again, I don't want to insult anybody's religion, but this is all entirely based on her own beliefs, which we are not obligated to go along with, right? I think people forget this oftentimes. We're too worried about offending somebody's religious beliefs that we forget we don't actually have to respect any of it. Twitter woke up to that, and so she faced a lot of fair criticism. Mind you, she also had a lot of simps there, still thinking they're going to touch her one day, or she's going to spit in their mouths or fart in their face. And then she had a small percentage of religious right-wing folks who don't actually even really game, also there to defend her. And then everybody moved on for a short bit, but not Melanie. Instead, she decided to close off the year with this post. Gamer Coomers are the same gamer alphabet people. Most of them aren't actually gamers. They just want video games as a medium to incorporate their perversion. Actual gamers just want good video games with good gameplay and art without being infested with perversion, regardless of where that comes from. And almost all these coomers have the same profile types as the gamers, just a bunch of porn on their pages, 2D, 3D, whatever else. That's their whole personality, perversion. And some content creators pander to that audience and are too scared to oppose them. Same song and dance as the trans and LGBT demanding total submission. Once those of us speaking out now taking enough heat, then others will speak up after it's deemed safe to do so. I don't care which side cancels me. I stand with Christ alone. The fuck? Who? Nobody. Literally nobody. The f***? Who? Nobody. Literally nobody is canceling Melanie. And she's running with this in our current timeline. She truly believes she's being canceled when all people did was call her out for being a hypocrite. The best part is how she tries to flip this, like so shamelessly too. I get there are people that don't agree with the LGBT community, but the way you want to flip it on them is disgusting, and you know it too. It's such an obvious grift, because first it was, oh, the LGBT community, they want to censor boobs, they want to censor asses, they don't want beautiful women, they only want ugly representation, they want to censor the female body. And then the next minute she decides, oh, it's actually the queers, it's them, they're the ones who want all that perverted stuff in gaming, which makes no goddamn sense. It's so stupid that any single one of her followers would just go along with this. It's actually the gays. That's a blatant lie, and she knows it, because because the majority that was standing up for this was YouTubers like the Quarterings, the Endymions, the Kyels, the Smash JTs, the Geeks and Gamers, those people. It was not the LGBT community, and you know it. But we get it, Melanie. We understand the grift. You have to overcompensate because a few years ago, you were all about wanting inclusivity. You wanted gay characters. You wanted rainbow flag representation. You were very vocal about it. You don't have to search far for it either. And I know you don't shy away from that, but it's so obvious that this is your way of repenting for your previous sins. I guess commit another sin, lie, so that you can be repented for your previous sin.
Melonie.
Dumb bitch.
So fast forward to start off the year, and Melanie Mac is already back at it when Paul Tassi put up this post talking about the first Descendant and how much the player count has gone down. I lost like a lot of followers on this topic, but I'm afraid to speak against perverts, queer, quote-unquote straight. Queer ideology adds no substance to gaming, and just the same, games based on lustful intent lack substance. Get the perverts out of gaming and just give us good games.
It's art.
What does queer ideology have to do with the first Descendant? Explain this to me, please. Games based on lustful intent lack substance. Oh, is she saying her favorite franchise of all time, Tomb Raider, lacks substance? She idolizes Tomb Raider, which, by the way, you can go to hell for, so be careful, Melanie. I mean, all those statues and posters, even dressing up like her, it's just better be repentant. But yeah, that's the character that, you know, she does provocative dances dressed as. And I'm sitting here wondering, what in the world are you talking about? All you've done throughout 2024 was defend video games made for pervs, and the levels of lust, they're about the same here as they were in Stellar Blade. You get the most skin exposed you can. Your favorite character, Lara Croft, was a sex symbol of her time, and now you complain about how she's not sexy enough and how they toned down her ass. So I'm guessing her whole belief is it has to be a Jesus-approved ass? Is that it? If that's the case, I don't know why Jesus ever approved of yours. It's almost non-existent. You want to know why she brings in the LGBT community? Because it's easy. It's her scapegoat. It's her way of getting people to forget about her absolute lunacy in favor of another lunacy. Remember, the gay's bad. The gay's bad. Ignore what I said. Ignore my hypocrisy and give me money and attention. What's even funnier is how she's using the first Descendants player count as some sort of I told you so, when all video games at some point dip in player count because there's so much competition. There's so many online games being released. There's so many other factors that could have played a role, but no. Then she throws in, oh, I lost subs, as if to scold those people that unsubbed. And then using this as proof that she was right because she's pathetic. She deserves to lose subscribers. When you use Christianity, when you LARP as a Christian and LARP as right wing, people are gonna take notice of how phony it is, and they're going to leave in droves. And you want to shame them and, you know, use the player count as if it's all the evidence in the world that they should have stayed? No, those people made the right decision, just like your husband made the right decision when he left your ass for a dude. So she went on to make a 30-minute long video trying to address all the controversies, and it's basically more of the same that she's been saying on Twitter. It doesn't really help her, and as a matter of fact, paints a picture of her hypocrisy even more. This video does not help her. It doesn't address anything. It actually cost her subs, and the majority of comments are not agreeing with her. And we're still not even at the best part. That's when the people you should probably unsubscribe to came in to simp for dear old Melonie because she's a part of every Antiwoker's podcast. She's whoring herself away to more podcasts than she ever did to dudes. And so it's no surprise that the Quarter Pounder, or as they like to call him over there at Kino Casino, the Quarter Planet, tattling to me because one of my woke co-hosts says something you don't like. Well, it's not even my own show with peak woman energy. Get that out of here. Like, all it does is make me want to have them on the show even more. You got me mixed up if you think I don't stand by my people.
Hey, calm down, okay? All right?
He's fat! My people? What What is this signal boosting? What are you talking? My people, my people. Is this what it's come down to now? This is getting even more embarrassing and even more pathetic. This whole anti-woke grift should have never made these people wealthy. They didn't deserve it. They are talentless. They are boring. They are monotone. They have no charisma. They have nothing to offer you. Look at this spineless coward. And he's not just spineless because he's fat. He's spineless because the dude refuses to call out his own co-host. Guess what? That's a part of the job, Jeremy. What this shows us is that you'll defend Melonie over anything. Like you think you're obligated to. Don't you have a wife? Jeremy, for the love of God, if you know what's good for you, shut the f up. Step aside, fat f, and let the people who are actually genuine talk, okay? You have a nice, comfy, cozy living going for you. I'd hate to see you ruin it over some dumb whore. It shows they fear her and her message. I don't think anyone fears her message, man. She's just coming across as extremely hypocritical and letting down a lot of longtime viewers of her channel now that she's directly contradicting herself. Well, I'll be thank the heavens one half of the anti-woke community woke up and realized what was going on. Now, I have a lot of criticisms reserved of Smash JT. I'm sure many of you do. But what really matters here is that we have somebody with a spine. We have to give him credit. There needs to be pushback, and not just pushback from lefties, but pushback from people within their own community. This is how it's supposed to happen. You are supposed to weed out the bad apples. The ones who should be the most critical of this community is members of the community itself. If you consider my honesty and convictions to be a betrayal of my audience, it appears you are getting by simply by telling yours what they want to hear. Oh yeah? Your honesty and your convictions, Melanie, huh? No, you're right. I don't want to hear your honesty. I don't want to hear your convictions because they've always been stupid. 2018. So is Nathan Drake still just for the sake of being straight? Newsflash, gay people exist and it's a normal thing. There's lots of games with straight couples. If you either have to be against all relationships in general or okay with them, otherwise, you're just a bigot. Just blocked 2 of my followers who replied to this tweet with homophobic hate speech. I have no tolerance for that, so good riddance, bigots. Get well soon from your homophobia. Imagine being so ridiculous that you miss out on quite possibly one of the greatest games of this generation because you're scared of lesbians. Just listen to all of that honesty and all of that conviction, eh? What this tells me, Melanie, is nobody should ever trust what you say. Even if you were being honest, it was stupid then. So I don't get how people don't notice how stupid it is now, because it's just as idiotic. Of course, that ain't gonna stop the quartering from continuing his simping campaign of defending her. Oh, things start to get really good. Because then this makes the quartering turn on Smash JT. And I love me anti-woke infighting. It's more entertaining than anything else.
This dude has been crying about Melanie Mac all night. It's honestly really pathetic. Play your teddy games all you want, but stop moralizing, acting like you're defending the honor of her scorned fans. It's pathetic, bro. He has a problem with Christians and openly declared a culture war against us. This is much deeper than me not liking characters twerking in thongs. His demons are mad and he needs delivered. I pray he finds Jesus. Never did that. Look at how pathetic Jeremy and Melanie are. So goddamn pathetic. That is your retort? That's your defense? You fucking losers. You sore-ass losers. Oh, but just look at Melanie playing the victim card. If there's anything I know about Christians, because I was one at one point, they are experts at playing the victim card, making it seem like Christianity is being targeted, when in reality, all that's happening to Christianity is more and more people lose their faith. She tries to make it about how this
is a target on her back of her religion. I love this hypocrisy of always pointing out how the woke try to victimize themselves, and here she is doing the oldest trick in the book. Where do you think the woke people picked that tactic up from? And then, she tries to make it about, oh, well, Smash has demons and he must be delivered. That shit only works for believers. For people who don't believe, you sound like a moron. You sound like somebody just using Christianity to cover up her track record of awful takes. I love how she's being confronted and her response is, you must turn to Jeebus, all while you turn to Jeebus and you were not made a better person for it. And then her simps are the worst part, because there's nothing worse than a bunch of fraudulent Christians spending all day on Twitter tweeting about non-Christian things instead of being at church, worshiping their God, helping the poor, and making society a better place.
You Luthers are calling Melanie Mac a Circassian because she made a very mild criticism about Coomer games. Nobody cares that you're melting down. Play them. Don't play them. She never said they should be banned. She's Christian. Obviously, that guy's her opinion.
A false narrative was invented here to try and prove a point. Keep simping.
Everyone who agrees with a woman is a simp. Impeccable argument. Who could possibly defeat such a well-laid out reasoned argument for being a huge floppy pussy about a nothing burger?
You're trying way too hard.
You're doing Olympic levels of stretch. Lies and cult to make this a big deal when it isn't. Melonie isn't the issue. Sweet Baby Inc., etc. is.
At this point, they are becoming the same picture. Two sides of the same coin.
You are reaching so hard to be offended by nothing. It's pathetic. Enjoy this drama farm for 2 days, but you're being retarded and everyone can see it.
You're mad at me for saying I don't agree with the YouTuber trying to censor gaming.
I'm not mad. I'm hiring you for X revenue while bowling. Another 650 series tonight. Pretty good night. Hope you can sleep knowing that Melanie Mac said one small thing you don't agree with. Smiley face. Come on, Coomer. Shine bright. Nobody's stopping you.
Oh my god, this is pathetic.
Gay!
This is sad. Just sad to witness. Is this really what it's come down to? Is this your king, anti-wokers? Because as far as I know, he's like one of the most popular anti-wokers that spams slop for his audience. This is your king, this simp, this man who stops to bowl so he can tweet to defend his precious Melanie Mac. Face it, Jeremy, if that stupid bitch wasn't on your podcast, you wouldn't be doing anything for her. And Smash is right. You're the one making a big deal because you don't agree what Smash is doing. And that's calling out someone within the community who should rightfully be called out because you're too chicken shit to do it. You are so easily swayed by your audience threatening to unsub when you don't align with them. Now, luckily for us, Smash JT came in with an excellent ratio on Melonie through this great edit that really just highlights the entire problem everybody has with her right now.
And I have the same stance on queers as I do these gooners.
Is this anything pornographic? I would say no.
Yes, what you're doing is shameful. Yes, I think this stuff is shameful and I don't want it in my entertainment because it's shameful and it's hurting society.
I mean, dude, have these people played Final Fantasy? The people complaining, have they played Final Fantasy at all?
It's disgusting and it's perverted. No, I don't want it.
Because this, especially like some of the, I mean, Final Fantasy, we've seen outfits like this get even more revealing. It's art.
Do I think that people participating in these activities are losers? Yes.
It's not even pornographic at all. I don't see the problem.
But you know what? It doesn't mean you have to always be a loser.
It's just too easy. I know a lot of people get mad like, there's a genuine edit, how could but they love those edits made of feminists who aren't even raging out about what the caption says half the time. Love it. Perfect. Mwah. Piss them off. Do it. Please. But that tweet was the last straw. That was the one that finally set Razorfist off, and he decided to give his own 2 cents. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you guys, the rabbit hole with Razorfist, it goes dark. And I mean real dark. There's a lot of stuff I can't really confirm to you without more research, but let's just say his kiwi farms are quite a jaw dropper. You never know who the is on screen. But let me tell you one thing, if Razorfist never said anything, he may still have a career, because I have a strong suspicion all of this information coming out about Razorfist is going to implode on him and destroy his YouTube career. I hope the simping was worth it. I hope pandering to religious right-wingers paid you enough so that you don't have to do this anymore. But clearly it didn't, because wherever a grift is, there's a Razorfist to be found. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I never liked Razorfist. I always thought the guy was such a try-hard, such a goddamn poser. Doesn't help that the man is 39 years old, still dressed like that, still trying to act like a hardcore anti-establishment metalhead when all he's doing is cosplaying those things. You're more full of shit than only a porta potty at Coachella. No shit, she doesn't care if women are hot. Her favorite game's Tomb Raider, unless there's a hidden Lara Croft twerking thing I'm unaware of. That's not a gotcha. It's evident you've exaggerated her complaint. January 18th, 2025 at approximately 3:43 p.m. That's the exact time and moment Razorfist destroyed his career. Let it be marked and known. She doesn't have a right to her complaint, Razor, okay? If you defended Stellar Blade, if you advocated for Lara Croft to be more sexual, and if somehow a butt jiggling and moving around in First Descendant is too much when Final Fantasy female characters are what you advocate for, she is not allowed to say anything. That is how that works. That's called hypocrisy. You don't want to be called a hypocrite? Don't put yourself in the situation. And that's the best part. Razorfist doesn't have the faintest clue what the hell he's defending. The guy comes in here with not enough info to take a side, and he'll do it anyway, because that's what the grifters do. They call it drama farming, and yet they are participating in the whole thing. They're deciding to open their mouths and look more stupid in front of everybody, and they want to blame others? Have you ever thought about just keeping your fucking mouth shut? You know, that's pretty easy. That's not hard to do. Her complaint has not been exaggerated. It's just that it's a direct contradiction. And when people see something like that, they're going to call it out. But your first instinct is to defend. And let me guess, it's because she says woke bad. It's because she reads the Bible. And it's more than likely because he finds her attractive and she's good for his brand. And the hacks over there at Side Scrollers will keep bringing them on because they're desperate for clicks because they can't get any without a guest. Fuck, Fredo. How many more of my favorite anti-wokers must you keep throwing under the bus? Shut up, bitch. I ain't done. 2 decades of woke made a lot of us forget how weird and annoying religious extremists are. Thanks for the refresher. Your dog pile is a woke tactic. Mary Winehouse. And what's more, it's failing miserably. How does that make you feel? Describe it in detail. How exactly is this dogpiling when the account tweeting this is significantly smaller than you, and you still couldn't ratio them, mind you? But his behavior makes perfect sense. It's the behavior of somebody trying to atone for some sin. But I have a strong suspicion Razorfist still watches pornography. Understand the sudden hard turn you've made. Perhaps maybe you feel remorse and guilt for your past, but some would consider what you're doing overcompensation. I don't care if you wanted to beat your meat and watch that stuff, but it makes so much more sense why you act like you're so highly against it. You are trying to make up for your past because it's so easily accessible. This is a common trait of grifters. They swing hard to the other side in order to make up for their previous crimes. But when it comes to Razorfist, he grifts so hard as to distinguish himself from other, normal people, to the point that he's now saying such ridiculous things like this. The religious right is back. Or the original religious right moral panic was a psyop forwarded by a media you now acknowledge to be corrupt, yet never considered may have lied to you back then. So is this. Keep feeding me roast material though. This is gold. You know what, Razor, as somebody who was physically abused by this movement during that time, please, kindly, shut the f up. It's so easy to call anything a psyop and tie it into communism, isn't it? It's always been what you guys do in order to avoid accountability for your side. These are tactics I grew up with my whole life. I know how the religious right works better than most people. We weren't getting hit because we were bad kids. We were getting hit because we were watching diabolical cartoons, because we were listening to the wrong music, because we were wearing the wrong clothes. It was a very real thing, and I hate the idea that people want to cover it up, act like it never happened, act like the massive book burnings weren't a thing, acting like the D&D crusades weren't real, acting like Doom wasn't targeted. It's all complete bullshit. You just want to dress like a metalhead but pose as a Christian because it's in your favor. F you. Is that what we're gonna do now? We're gonna do some revisionist history because you're too shit at covering up the hypocrisy of your friend there? There are years of my childhood and my teen years I will never get back. So don't come in here with your bullshit. Oh, it's a psyop. No, it wasn't. And Melanie Mac's behavior is proof of that. The way you're acting is proof of that. The reason you say this crap is because it's so easy to get religious right-wingers to fall for it. They truly believe Christianity is under attack and is trying to be removed from society, when there are more churches on my block than goddamn dispensaries. And this is what I mean by there's a massive difference between having lived it and LARPing it online. I lived this crap. You will never, ever be able to bullshit someone like me. Hell, most people don't even have to live it to see that you're full of shit anyway, which is why the Act-Man came in to say something.
Man, it's almost like you guys are so ideologically driven. You've completely forgotten how to simply enjoy the childhood hobby of playing video games. Would not wish this fate on my worst enemy. From the bottom of my heart, you have my deepest pity.
Well, hold on there, Kelly. You're giving them a little too much credit. These guys don't actually believe what they're saying.
Ah, yes. The childhood hobby of M-rated games featuring twerking female asses. Then again, I can see why you'd be aggrieved on behalf of female asses, being one yourself. I find video games tremendously watchable, like your YouTube channel on Opposite Day.
Boo! You stink!
Is that the best you got? Those are your roasts? Dude, oh my god, I could sit here all day making fun of your makeup and your costume. Hell, I could spend all day making fun of how bad your roast game is. You're terrible at everything you do, you untalented hack. The one thing I will tell Act-Man is, no, Razorfist is not ideologically driven. He is algorithm driven. You know how many right-wingers I talk to daily who can't stand this guy? So many. They hate him, and I understand why. Imagine your side is being misrepresented by such a fucking doofus. One who can't even beat goddamn Kyle Kulinski in a debate. That's how pathetic he is. You know, chances are this video will reach Razorfist and he'll watch it clenching his fists with his stupid black glove over it. Gloves indoors. But I want you to watch this part specifically because I'm pretty sure you're just ignoring me on Twitter. For those of you who don't know, I'm about to blow your goddamn minds. Can you guess who this person is?
That's gonna be it for me, but I had so much fun. And really quick, I want to give a quick shout out to Roberto and Christine in the back because they made all this magic happen, showing all your tweets, and it was just so awesome. And of course, Jeff, I want to thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Come on over here, Melanie.
Come
hang with us. It was a fun
Here
time.
We go.
It was a
thank you so much.
It was a crazy 2 days.
It was.
My life is a lie. My life is a lie. Somebody's got to get stabbed.
That's right. You guessed correctly. Now, I know it was a little hard to figure out because she looks like a whole different person, and for some reason, when she wasn't Christian, she looked more Christian than she does now. Yes, indeed, that is Melanie Mac right there, corporate simping and shilling, alongside Jeff Keighley. This bitch was always an industry plant. She was always handed positions. She was always given opportunities that she never deserved. She sucks. She's ass. She doesn't know how to make good videos. She doesn't even know how to hold any of these jobs. That's the bitch you're rooting for. She was the original Frosk, being brought onto gaming talk shows to promote queer ideology. And now we're suddenly supposed to believe she did a full 180? Whoa, enough time has passed for If you're making money on any of this, you're grifting. People who go from one extreme to the other have no brain. And if you follow along, you also don't have a brain. No offense. But if you saw excellence in her, you're a shallow individual with no taste. Plain and simple. How the hell are you going to be subscribed to someone who 1 minute could say water is good for you, and then the very next day tell you water is bad for you? How do you stay subscribed to people like that? Why do you do this to yourself? Why do you want to be miserable? Why do you want to consume slop from these two that you know will just make you angry at the world? But whatever, you know, if the chick who doesn't want nice asses in video games and the dude who has advocated for slavery twice are the people you feel best represent you, then whatever. That's the freedom of the marketplace of ideas. But if you're entirely okay with being manipulated and lied to, that makes you fair game for me to make fun of. But I'll tell you one thing, it highly goes against everything God promotes. These two lying blatantly to their audience, disobeying God. Think about that. 1 minute you blink, and then the next, all the radical Christian moral panic people from the 90s and early 2000s all of a sudden look just like Melonie and Razor. You know, admittedly, this video was a long time coming. I have a strong suspicion it's only going to be one of many when it comes to this community. It's gonna lose me a bit of subs, but hopefully I'll gain some new ones. Chances are this is my last year on YouTube, so if I'm gonna go down, I'm gonna go down, taking some anti-wokers with me. And if you want to be here for it, then like, comment, share, and subscribe if you so choose to. I really enjoyed making this video. I put, a lot of passion behind it. I hope you enjoyed too, and I'll see you in the next one.
Africanga sucks ass.